Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we've got an awesome topic lined up, especially for you comic book fans who love those massive, powerful characters. We're diving into 10 of the biggest and most iconic monsters from the Marvel and DC universes. Get ready for some colossal creatures packed with raw strength and some seriously epic stories. But before we jump in, make sure to hit that like button to support the channel. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming videos. Now, let's get into these epic monsters. Werewolf by Night. Jack Russell, cursed by a family affliction passed down through generations, transforms into the anti-hero known as Werewolf by Night. As a tragic figure, Jack constantly battles his monstrous nature while trying to protect his sister from the dark forces of the sorceress Morgan Le Fay. His story is filled with personal struggles, balancing his human side with the ferocity of the werewolf within. This formidable creature later joins a team of supernatural beings led by Michael Morbius, known as the Midnight Suns, a group dedicated to fighting mystical and otherworldly threats. Together, they form a powerful alliance of monsters defending the world from dark, supernatural forces. Let me know if you want to add or expand on anything. Man-Spider. Man-Spider represents the horrifying outcome of what could have happened if Peter Parker's mutation had spiraled out of control. Instead of becoming the Spider-Man we know, Peter turns into a grotesque hybrid between human and spider, a terrifying creature driven by primal instincts. This monstrous version of Spider-Man is not only one of Peter Parker's worst nightmares, but also a physical manifestation of his fear of losing control over his powers. One of the most iconic appearances of Man-Spider was in the classic 1990s Spider-Man animated series. In this storyline, we saw Peter struggling with his terrifying transformation, with notable guest appearances from Michael Morbius and the Punisher, adding even more tension and excitement to the arc. Franken Castle. After being brutally killed and dismembered by Daken, the son of Wolverine, Frank Castle's remains were reassembled and brought back to life by none other than Michael Morbius. However, the man who once was the Punisher returned as a monstrous version of himself, Franken Castle. His resurrection came with terrifying consequences, as Frank struggled with his sanity, barely able to maintain control. Only when he took special pills provided by Morbius was he able to think clearly. Morbius had revived Frank for a purpose: to help protect a group of monsters from human attacks. At first, Frank resisted, unwilling to involve himself in this strange new world. But over time, he realized that these monsters weren't the threat he once believed them to be. In fact, they just wanted to live in peace, away from persecution. Manbat. Anyone who has played Batman, Arkham Knight knows the jump scare that comes with encountering this terrifying creature, Manbat. His monstrous presence is enough to shake even the most seasoned gamers. The origin of Manbat is quite similar to that of the lizard. Dr. Kirk Langstrom, a scientist specializing in bats, develops a serum intended to give humans the enhanced hearing and echolocation abilities of bats. However, the experiment goes horribly wrong, transforming Langstrom into a horrific bat-human hybrid. No longer in control of his mind, Manbat wreaks havoc across Gotham City, becoming yet another monstrous figure for Batman to contend with. Like other tragic villains, Manbat's story is rooted in good intentions gone awry. Killer Croc. Although the version of Killer Croc seen in Suicide Squad proudly calls himself beautiful, he's the kind of giant you'd never want to cross paths with in a dark alley. True to his name, Killer Croc is a monstrous figure with a reptilian appearance that perfectly reflects his animalistic nature. Born with a rare skin condition that gave him his crocodile-like appearance, Waylon Jones was rejected by society from an early age due to his grotesque looks. This lifelong rejection and alienation drove him down a dark path, turning him into one of Gotham City's most dangerous criminals. Despite his tragic background, Waylon embraced his monstrous identity, becoming a ruthless enforcer and aspiring crime lord. Solomon Grundy. Don't be fooled by the nursery rhyme that tells the story of this hulking zombie. Solomon Grundy is a far more terrifying figure than it suggests. Born from the tragic events surrounding Cyrus Gold, Grundy is the result of a dark and twisted fate. After being murdered and dumped in Slaughter Swamp, Gold returned from the dead as the near-immortal Solomon Grundy, a creature of immense strength, cursed to die and rise again countless times. This endless cycle of death and resurrection makes Grundy one of the most persistent and dangerous villains in the DC universe. Over the years, Solomon Grundy has been adapted into various forms of media outside of comics, bringing his eerie presence to a wider audience. Morbius, the living vampire. Instead of being born through supernatural means, Morbius emerged from a failed genetic experiment. Dr. Michael Morbius was originally a brilliant scientist attempting to cure his rare blood disease, but his quest for a cure took a dark turn when an experiment went horribly wrong. The result was a transformation that granted him vampiric abilities, including superhuman strength and speed, but also left him with an insatiable thirst for blood. Though introduced as a villain in the Spider-Man comics, Morbius has faced the web-slinger only a handful of times. His character often exists in the shadows, engaging in parallel storylines with other Marvel monsters and anti-heroes, which has allowed him to develop a more complex identity beyond that of a mere villain. Over time, Morbius experienced a transformation back into a more human form, leading to his diminishing presence in the comics. ManThing, debuting just 2 months before the first appearance of Swamp Thing, ManThing shares a remarkably similar backstory to DC's own Green Giant. However, this resemblance doesn't indicate that one publisher copied the other. Instead, both characters were inspired by an earlier creation, The Heap, from the Airboy comic series, which predated both by several years. ManThing's origins trace back to Dr. Ted Sallis, a scientist who, while attempting to recreate the super soldier serum, underwent a horrific transformation due to a chemical accident in the swamps of Florida. This tragic event turned him into the swamp-dwelling creature known as ManThing, endowed with abilities such as heightened senses and an empathic connection to emotions, allowing him to sense fear in others. Interestingly, despite not achieving the same level of popularity as other Marvel characters, ManThing has made his mark in pop culture. Etrigan the Demon. Though his appearance may be fearsome, Etrigan is a demon who often finds himself aligned with the forces of good. Etrigan is the alter ego of Jason Blood, a man cursed to share his life with this powerful entity. This curse, while granting Blood immortality, also forces him to endure the heart-wrenching pain of watching his loved ones age and perish over the centuries. Etrigan's unique method of communication sets him apart. He speaks exclusively in rhyme, adding a distinctive flair to his character that has captivated fans. His poetic expressions are often dramatic, reflecting the tumultuous nature of his existence. Etrigan has made numerous appearances in various forms of media, including animated series such as Justice League and Justice League Dark. Swamp Thing. The once innocent Dr. Alec Holland had his life irrevocably altered when his laboratory was sabotaged, leading to his brutal murder and the subsequent disposal of his body in a Louisiana swamp. The combination of the chemical components from his lab mingled with the swamp's natural elements and organisms, ultimately enveloping Alec's body and reviving him in a grotesque form. Thus, he was reborn as Swamp Thing. Despite his fearsome and unsettling appearance, Swamp Thing embodies the goodness and humanity that Alec Holland once possessed. Throughout his journey, he grapples with his new identity and the loss of his former life. Initially desperate to reclaim his human existence, Alec eventually comes to accept his fate as a protector of the natural world. Embracing his role as Swamp Thing, he dedicates himself to safeguarding the environment from those who seek to exploit or destroy it. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey through the monstrous realms of Marvel and DC. We hope you enjoyed learning about these incredible characters and their fascinating stories. If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and let us know what you think in the comments below. We love hearing your thoughts and suggestions. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming content. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us keep bringing you more exciting videos about your favorite heroes and villains. Until next time, stay safe And remember, there's often more to a monster than meets the eye.